Would you welcome with me, please, Attorney Lynne Hicks.
And I remember being in high school when Mr. Sugar would walk up to me and go, "It's not 6 inches, girl." Those of you who were there remember that. Good morning. Thank you all for being here, and thank you to our organizers and our supporters, without whom this ceremony would not have been possible. General Douglas MacArthur quoted from an old barracks song as he spoke to Congress at the close of his 52-year military career. "Old soldiers never die, they just fade away." I remember my dad quoting that line to me many times when I was a child. At the time, I wondered what it meant, but we never talked about it. The reality is that sometimes soldiers, sailors, Marines, service personnel die. What must not fade is their memory and our recognition and appreciation for their efforts. We come together today to recognize those that our honored dead gave this country by their ability to endure, persevere, and prevail. I saw Mr. Wild here. He taught me much about the Revolutionary War. Those soldiers have faded away. We've allowed the memory of their suffering and the suffering of those that they left behind while they were in this country's service to fade. For those soldiers, their transportation was their feet. Some of the soldiers at Valley Forge wrapped rags around their feet to keep from losing their toes to frostbite. They had the will to endure, persevere, and prevail. The war between the states literally divided families and deepened wounds that 145 years later have yet to finish healing. But those soldiers too have faded away. They faded away to the point where we no longer honor them for their sacrifice, be they north or south. Of those who gave their lives in service to each side. Indeed, the Battle of Gettysburg, one of the bloodiest battles of that war, was partially overshoes. Memorial Day was officially proclaimed on May 5, 1868 by General John Logan, National Commander of the Grand Army of the Republic, in his General Order No. 11. It was first observed May 30, 1868, when flowers were placed on the graves of Union and Confederate soldiers at Arlington National Cemetery. The first state to officially recognize the holiday was New York, 5 years later in 1873. Then, after World War I, the focus of the holiday changed from honoring just those who died in the war between the states to honoring Americans who died fighting in any war. It is now celebrated in almost every state on the last Monday in May. Congress passed the National Holiday Act back in 1971, which gave us a 3-day weekend holiday. Thank you for being here and making this part of your holiday weekend. The United States was asked to intervene when war was threatening to overwhelm Western Europe. That conflict became known as World War I, the war to end all wars. We all know that the reason Veterans Day is celebrated on November 11th at 11 o'clock is that the armistice, which ended, bless you, World War I, was signed at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Almost all of those old soldiers have faded from our memories, as have the tales of their sacrifice. Fighting on foreign soil, being gassed with mustard gas. For those who don't know what mustard gas is, it's real caustic and makes every breath you inhale burn as it goes in. we entered the era of modern warfare with airplanes, tanks, and long-range weapons. What set the United States apart from the countries of Europe was our ability to endure, persevere, and prevail. 20 years later, we watched as Europe entered into another massive conflict. We were involved with what became known as World War II long before Pearl Harbor was bombed. We participated in various support programs. But when the United States entered into an active role in that war, the world was able to see our unique ability to endure, persevere, and prevail. It eventually led to the surrender of Germany and the Axis powers, and then of Japan. Time marched on. It marched to the wars that are in my brief memory. Korea, Vietnam, forgive my pronunciation, Grenada. I'm going to lump them all together and call them the Gulf Wars. Afghanistan, we're still in Iraq. The brave continue to do their duty. Each of these conflicts has one thing in common, and that being increased media coverage. We are literally watching war as it happens. We see it on television. We see it on the computer screen. We, the public, we, the American people, risk becoming desensitized to the horror of war, to the fact that war is hell. We've seen so much fiction on television where the conflict comes up and they solve it in 30 minutes, hour, 2 hours. To the video or movie where blood doesn't leak out of a real person, but instead from a digitally reproduced target. No real blood is shed. Too many of us have moved to the point that old soldiers never fade away. Their form is permanently etched on some kind of storage media. I fear that the substance of what has made the American people great, our unique ability to endure, persevere, and prevail, may be lost. It will be lost if we fail to remember that Memorial Day is the occasion that we all come together to appreciate and honor the memory of those who gave the last true measure of devotion in service to our country. John McCrae said it best in 1915 in his immortal poem, In Flanders Fields. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow between the crosses, row by row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly by. Scarce heard amid the guns below, we are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. I ask you veterans here today, share your memories. Teach us of your struggle and sacrifice, of what you did, so that we too will learn how to endure, persevere, and prevail, and so that you will not fade from our memories. After all, it is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us freedom of religion. It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the veteran, not the poet, who has given us the freedom of speech. It is the veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to assemble. It is the veteran, not a lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. It is the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. It is the veteran who salutes the flag It is the veteran who serves under the flag. God bless those who did not come back to us alive. God bless all of you who did. And God bless America.